Okay, well, got another week of releases. Don't have a lot to open up, but I do have a bunch of other stuff that arrived separately. That's very odd. But looks like the DVDs inside are just fine, so it's all good. So first up, we have Hellgirl 2 Mirrors, Part 2. Fist of the North Star, Volume 1. This is a complete series collection with episodes 1 through 36. Wow, that's actually pretty damn cool. We have Soul Eater, Part 4, which should finish that series. Excellent. And finally, we have Dragon Ball Season 5, which I think also finishes Dragon Ball. Now all I need is for them to release the first Dragon Ball movie on DVD, and I should have all of Dragon Ball. But let's not stop there. This is the limited edition version of Gurren Lagann movie. Basically, this came out earlier this earlier this month, and I completely missed it because it appears to be a pretty quiet release. Bought it through Bandai from Amazon. It came with these things, which that's all Japanese text. So this is supposed to be, I think, a reproduction of something that they sold in theaters. I don't know what this is, but it's pretty cool. And oh, this is just a questionnaire thing. Surprisingly, even though I only paid normal shipping for this, it came pretty damn fast. So it's been quiet, but I'll talk about the contents later, and you can evaluate whether or not you think you should go and get it. As I continue ripping DVDs from my anime media server, I keep running into discs that won't rip. So I rebought Noir DVD 1. Well, I should clarify, discs I can't rip that I also can't clean up. But sometimes I also come across series and realize all I need to do is buy DVDs 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 of, and then I can have all of it. So this is Gi Charat Nyo DVD 9. That means I should have all of Gi Charat. Hooray! Now, these, I think, these are what people have been referring to as the bootleg Digimon stuff, and I'm not going to actually include this in my collection, but just thought I'd point out that they're here. People mentioned the DVD video logo there is stretched. I'm not really sure. And compared to the few other bootleg things I've seen, these are not bad, so I suspect this is more, they're just not officially licensed to do it, but since nobody here's doing a damn thing about it, I guess they can get away with it. So, moral of the story, somebody please release Digimon, otherwise I'll just watch these at some point just to satisfy my curiosity. So I got a good amount of watching done this week. Let's go over them real fast. First of all, Gurren Lagann movie. It's basically its sequel are a retelling of the entire Gurren Lagann series. So as you might expect, it contains a lot of scenes from the original Gurren Lagann, but it can't have everything because, you know, 2 movies, obviously they're going to have to cut a lot of material. And for the most part, I think I'm okay with what they cut, although there are a lot of things I miss about the original series that make me think that I would still introduce somebody to Gurren Lagann through the series over the movie. It's hard to give examples without being spoilerific to people who haven't watched Gurren Lagann, so I'm going to refrain from that. But I am going to say that for those of you who have seen Gurren Lagann before, there are some new scenes in here that were actually pretty cool. A couple of different ways to handle a couple of different parts of it. And I would say that overall that made watching it pretty worthwhile. So if you haven't seen it, you probably ought to give it a check if you enjoyed the original. And it's difficult to say whether or not that means you should buy the DVD. But if you do, you know, Bandai is selling them through Amazon, and I think the Right Stuff is reselling Bondi DVDs, directly from them. So you should be able to get it. And when I bought it again, it came really fast, surprisingly so. It's also worth mentioning that this has the first 4 music videos from Gurren Lagann Parallel Works, which is basically taking music from the series and the animators create an animation for it. Most of them being kind of silly and actually none of them have anything to do whatsoever with the actual anime, but it was just interesting and silly. Kind of neat to have. Naruto Shippuden DVD 11 was more Naruto. Basically not the exciting stuff, that's the thing I'm always watching, but it's kind of acceptable after those exciting parts, simply because, you're getting back into the normal flow of Naruto, and so it's okay when it's kind of making progress. At least it's making progress. It feels like it's making progress. And that's okay. Bleach DVD 30 was really good in my opinion because it's covering a lot more of that stuff that I thought was cool about Bleach near the beginning of it. Vampire Knight DVD 1, it was very entertaining, interesting. But of course it's kind of amusing how, as you would expect in an anime about vampires that are trying not to suck the blood of the main character, who's apparently the most delicious person in the world. Naturally, she's also the most likely to accidentally bleed in some way and be a constant temptation. So it's kind of amusing, interesting, curious. But I want to see more. My Bride is a Mermaid. This one. So a lot of aspects of it are pretty stereotypical for harem anime, but it still tried to do a couple of things to be different. Most of that being along the lines of what I've called a disconnect from reality, but let's not call it a disconnect from our reality, because let's face it, most anime do not follow any laws of physics that as we would define them in our reality. Instead, I'd say that it goes crazy in a way that's very interesting. And at the same time, there's some pretty amusing, just regular harem moments, I guess. And this one character in here is very interesting. I can't remember names, and so I can't remember his name. But I guess we're referring to him as the Will Smith of anime simply because of the recent Nostalgia Critic Independence Day review. So if you've seen that, and you've seen My Bride is a Mermaid, you probably understand what I'm talking about. That was pretty amusing. That was actually probably the most amusing thing about this show, in my opinion. Kurokame Part 2, I watched this, and I guess it was a lot like the first part, in that if you enjoyed the first part, you probably enjoy the second part. It's not really necessarily... I'm not sure if it's moving quickly to some sort of ultimate conflict or what. I mean, sometimes I feel like I don't understand how the anime is flowing, but it doesn't feel like it's leaving me behind or going too fast for me or anything like that. Overall, I think that a lot of my impressions of this anime are that it's similar to a lot of things I've seen before. So it probably just doesn't have that new, fresh anime feel. But otherwise, it's actually been pretty entertaining, I think.